I did want to talk about two more guys just before we get off because I think both of these guys could potentially be options at 4 or 8, and they also played on the same team. And
Mm.
that are the wings. Those are the wings from the G League Ignite, Matas Buzelis and Ron Holland. Just give Lou, the floor is yours. Tell me your analysis on those guys.
Um, it's so difficult to watch the G League Ignite and see players literally have no point guard, and these are guys that they need a point guard.
What about Norris Cole?
Ah,
You know,
Sorry, I
fun
had
story.
to.
No, man, I never liked Norris, but fun
I
story
didn't. I
was.
didn't even think about the Heat. I was just thinking
Oh
because
no,
he was on Ignite this year. Go ahead.
my goodness. I didn't know he was on Ignite. So when I started scouting, I'm like, damn, this number 30 guy kind of sucks. And fast forward to Norris Cole, I'm like, oh my goodness, what is he still doing? So it was just funny. But yeah, like they struggled to get a playmaker to help them playmate, to like help them score essentially, to make their life easier. However, I will say Ron Holland he could be a game wrecker defensively. His athleticism could be something to just behold, and like he's one of the most athletic players in this whole draft class already, in my opinion. In terms of like strength, quickness, vertical explosiveness. Um, he was asked to do a lot of on-ball creation, something he never did in high school. Like high school tape was not. He was not being tasked to run high pick and rolls and make reads. He got better
Not a
during the
ton.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he got a lot better during the year. Holland is somebody who I think you guys, in my opinion, if I was you guys, I would take a flyer on somebody like him. The jumper, again, for me, the jumpers are irrelevant. I think his defensive impact is going to be so good from day one, and his ability to actually put pressure on the basket is just going to be so needed for the Spurs because Vassell is a very good shooter. I don't know how his rim pressure is. The games that I've seen, he likes to float around. He gets to the rim sometimes, but he's more of like he's a really good shooter. Like you want him spacing the floor. So if you can have somebody to counterbalance that, who can handle and get to the rim, who can defend at his level, who can play make it. He averaged like 2.5 or I think 3 stocks a game in the G League Ignite. Like it wasn't like, he was playing against grown men already coming directly from high school. I'm a big Ron Holland guy. The jumper's the concern. The turnovers were an issue, but he was really, really, really young. And Matas is the guy who struggled the most coming to a conclusion in this draft class. He is, on one hand, he plays like he just wants to bully you in the mid post. On the other hand, he's 195. The midi looks really nice. The 3-pointer looks awful sometimes. It's so difficult to get a grasp with him. I do like the tools. I do like his weak side rim protection. He's been very good at. He tested really well athletically, even better than I anticipated he was going to test because he's a very fluid athlete and he has explosive moments. I just didn't think he was going to be this level of athlete. I'm curious to see how much of the athleticism holds because he needs to add some kind of weight in the league, especially for his play style. He likes to operate in the mid post. He's a better passer than Holland, not as good of a defender. Just curious to see how the 3-pointer goes because I think ultimately that's going to be his tall tale sign on how good he's going to be. For you guys personally, I would not want Matas. I would probably lean Holland if I was San Antonio.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't really. I mean, I watched a couple. Like, I think I watched like the 2 games that the Austin Spurs played, the G League Ignite. But I think at that point Holland was already out for the year, and that's the other thing that kind of makes the Buzelis thing a little tough too. Like, I totally get where you're coming from, not just with everything you said, but then on top of that, like defenses. I know it's just the G League, but still, defenses were able to kind of key in on him for the rest of the year. Once Holland was done. But this was just a really interesting year or a rough year, to be blunt, not interesting year for the G League Ignite, which, unfortunately led to its conclusion. But yeah, that was some interesting, what's the word? That was just some good analysis there on both those G League guys. Cause I've seen even some stuff where people are talking about the Spurs taking Buzelis at 4, and Holland, with him being the number 1 player coming out of high school, like, and then the injury happening, and then also that combined with the way the Ignite season is, I think he could be someone that could maybe end up, who's who maybe really should be a top 5 pick because that's kind of where he was before the season, if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
am
Holland is definitely he was a 5-star. Like he was the guy. Him, Collier were like 1 and 2 going
Mhm.
into this class. So I think you sometimes you want to bet on players that have that kind of pedigree and that they've played that well before prior, you know. So it's those kind of guys are pretty cool. I will say my favorite tidbit about Matas is not even basketball, like it's not even play related. It was when he basically came out and said, "I do bet everything better than Zachary Risache. He's scared of playing me 1-on-1." I love that. That means that guy has a dog in him. He grew up in Chicago, so he has to have the dog in him. So like that level of competitive edge, I was like, first of all, I had him rated higher than Risache regardless. So I was like, okay, I feel more comfortable with this assessment after that one.